Hello, welcome back to Learnovative Agile and Scrum video series. My name is Vijay Bandaru. I'm a certified Scrum trainer, certified team coach, and certified enterprise coach from Scrum Alliance. We create these videos to help you understand the concepts of Scrum and Agile easily so that you can implement them in your projects. So in this video, we are going to focus on understanding Scrum team. What is Scrum team? Who will be part of the Scrum team? What are the characteristics, accountabilities, responsibilities? How a single Scrum team and multi-Scrum team environment looks like. All these concepts we're going to briefly discuss in this video. So Scrum team consists of three types of people: a product owner, a Scrum master, and cross-functional developers. So product owner focus is on the product related decisions, like what is the right product, what problem we are going to solve through the product, and what are the right features, what is the right order to execute those features. These are the focus areas of the product owner. Scrum master is the people, processes, coach, mentor, trainer, enabler. Developers are the people who are actually building the product according to the product owner's prioritized requirements. So the typical size of the Scrum team according to Scrum is less than or equal to 10, including product owner and Scrum master. That means in a Scrum team, typically you can have one Scrum master, one product owner, and up to 8 cross-functional developers, which means programmers, testers, UI, UX, database people, all these people together called developers. So the reason for this less than or equal to 10 typical recommended size is the communication can be more effective in a smaller team. Small teams can achieve consensus easily compared to larger teams. Small teams can maintain more transparency, and small teams need fewer processes compared to larger teams. Small teams can have more productivity compared to larger teams, and small teams can demonstrate more agility compared to the larger team. So the typical recommended size to be more effective is less than or equal to 10, which includes product owner and Scrum master also. So the Scrum team collectively focus on the product goal. They want to achieve the product goal by building a product to solve a complex problem. And they are all accountable to create a useful and valuable increment at the end of every sprint, which creates some value to the customers, users, and stakeholders. So in order to do that, the Scrum team will execute certain responsibilities. The Scrum team responsibilities includes stakeholder collaboration, communication, and communication interactions with the stakeholders, verification, research and development related to the product, maintenance of the product, experimentation, R&D, operations, and any other things that are required to develop the product. In order to execute these responsibilities effectively, the Scrum team needs certain characteristics. The first characteristic is called as cross-functional. Cross-functional means as a team, they should have all the skills required, just like a sports team. For example, if you take a cricket team, as a team, they will have all the skills required, such as batting, bowling, fielding, wicket keeping, like that. And the second characteristic is called as self-managing. Self-managing means they should be able to decide who is working on what, how, when, all these things. So these two characteristics will help the Scrum team to run as fast as they can. So the Scrum Master will help the Scrum team to acquire these cross-functional and self-managing qualities, characteristics time to time by helping them to assess. Within a Scrum team, there are two things not recognized or recommended. So the first thing is no sub-teams. And the second thing is no hierarchy within the Scrum team. First, let's talk about no sub-teams. So imagine a cricket team. There will be 11-member team in a cricket usually. all the 11-member team should be considered as one single unit. It's not a sub teams like 3-4 people into bowling sub team, 3-4 people into batting sub team, and another 3-4 people into fielding and wicket keeping sub team. The reason is, if you make the cricket team into sub teams, their accountability drops from winning championships level to, I don't care about batting, I'll do bowling well. So that's how the bowling sub team will feel. So the accountability dilutes. Obviously, it will eventually lead to blame game kind of thing. Similarly, if you treat the Scrum team such as these two are UI sub team, these four are Java programmer sub team, these two are testing sub team, like that, the same thing will happen. Accountability dilutes and the Scrum team cannot focus on product goal. They will become a silo-based team. So Scrum does not recommend sub-teams. Now, coming to the hierarchy, imagine in a company, a Scrum team is formed like this. Developers are going to report to Scrum Master, and Scrum Master is reporting to Product Owner. The obvious problem with this kind of hierarchy within a Scrum team is, in this case, the Product Owner will become boss's boss to the developers. So obviously they cannot say no when it is required to say no, because of that he's a super boss kind of thing. And they cannot maintain transparency always. So when the roots of the Scrum team, which are the 5 values, focus, openness, respect, courage, commitment, are negatively impacted, the entire empirical process gets collapsed. That is the reason Scrum does not recommend hierarchy within the Scrum team. So developers are same level as Scrum Master is same level as Product Owner in a Scrum team. But Scrum does not stop you to have a Product Owner reporting to some Senior Vice President, Product Management Group, and a Scrum Master reporting to some Agile Center of Excellence or Agile PMO, or the developers may report to some engineering manager or a technology manager. These are all outsiders. They are not part of the Scrum team, and they don't come to the day-to-day operations of the Scrum team. So the Scrum team is cross-functional and self-managing. So they are having all the skills required, and they are autonomous so that they can make the decisions on their own. So that is why they can run as fast as they can. Now, in case you have to keep large teams because of the hugeness or the volume of the work the team has to deliver, instead of keeping 80 or 100 or 120 people into the same Scrum team, it is recommended to have multiple Scrum teams working, multiple cohesive standalone Scrum teams working on the same product. So in that case, they all focus on the same product, and they all share 3 things in commonly. Those 3 things shared by all the teams is same product owner, same product goal, and same product backlog. So all these 3 teams will be focusing on working on the same product, and they share the same product owner and the same product goal and same product backlog. So let's look at how a single Scrum team looks like and multiple Scrum teams. If you look at this picture, there is a single Scrum team where you can find a product owner, a Scrum Master, and up to 8 developers. So there is a product backlog. The product owner is going to take care of the ordering and content of the product backlog. Some of the items are pulled into the sprint backlog. Let's imagine they are working on a 2-week sprint, for example. At the end of 2 weeks, they are creating an increment, and this increment will be shown to the stakeholders in the sprint review. Whatever the stakeholders will give feedback, the product owner will prioritize into the product backlog according to the priority. So this is a very plain, simple, vanilla kind of Scrum team structure. In the bottom picture, you can see there are 3 teams working here. So let's say there is a team 1, and there is team 2, and there is team 3. These are 3 Scrum teams. Because the product owner has to support all the 3 teams, he cannot make himself constrained to or tagged to one Scrum team. So that is why he is common to all the 3 Scrum teams. And they're all focusing on the same product goal. All these 3 teams are focusing on the same product goal. At the same time, all these teams are sharing the same product backlog. So that is why in the previous screen, we discussed when there are multiple Scrum teams are working on a product, they will share the same product owner, same product goal, and same product backlog. So how does it work? So based on the priority of the product owner, some of the topmost items may be taken into the Scrum Team 1 sprint backlog. This is the sprint backlog. Next set of items may be taken into Team 2 sprint backlog. This is Team 2 sprint backlog. And some of the next items may be taken into the Team 3 sprint backlog. So all these three teams collectively working on those individual items selected into their sprint backlogs. By the end of the sprint, they will create an integrated increment. So this integrated increment will be taken to a joint sprint review meeting in which they will showcase these features of these integrated increments of all these three teams to stakeholders, and their feedback will be again mapped into the product backlog through prioritization by the product owner. So in this case, multi-team environment, few things are considered to be taken care of. So first thing is sprint length. So it is good to have all the three teams following the same sprint length. It could be any length less than or equal to 1 month. So it could be 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever is possible. It is recommended to have the same sprint length for all these three teams because it will help them to maintain the cadence plus synchronization. When all these three teams are following the same sprint length, it will help them to avoid some wastages like waiting time or dependency on the teams. So these can be avoided and work can be effectively done. So all the three teams together can decide the sprint length, suitable sprint length, and one of the Scrum Masters of these teams can facilitate the discussion. Then definition of done. So instead of having a team-specific definition of done, specific to each team, it is good to and recommended to have a common definition of done across all the three teams. So there will be a mutually agreed definition of done by all the three teams, so that whatever items each team is building is going through same quality criteria, so that the increment will have the same quality standards coming out of all the three teams. So mutually agreed common definition of done is a good recommendation. Now coming to the estimation techniques. For example, imagine this team is going to use story point estimation. This team is going to use t-shirt sizing estimation. This team is going to use man days or man hours estimation. Is not a wise thing, because if product owner has to give a forecast about how many more sprints they need to complete the remaining work. Imagine if some of these items are estimated by team 1 using story points, some of these items estimated by team 2 using t-shirt sizing, and some of these items man days, man hours. The product owner will have difficulty to identify how many more sprints required to complete the remaining work, because all these items are estimated by different teams by different techniques. So collectively, they all have to agree for one technique, whichever is okay. Like t-shirt sizing is also okay, or story point estimation or man days, man hour, whatever is convenient for all the teams, they can take it, so that it will help to come up with the forecasting for the product owner. Now coming to the integration. Imagine these three teams are working in a 2-week sprint, for example. If it is a 2-week sprint, there will be 10 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So for a 2-week sprint, usually roughly 4 hours is the sprint planning. First day, they will have a joint sprint planning meeting. And last day, roughly 2 hours for the sprint review, and roughly 1.5 hours for sprint retrospective. So remaining days are for the working on the selected items. So let's imagine team 1 has selected 5 items, team 2 has selected 4 items, and team 3 has selected 3 items into their sprint backlogs. Now let's imagine all these 3 teams have planned in such a way that the last 1.5 days, that means 9th day full day and 10th day half day, they wanted to keep for integration testing of all these 5 items, 4 items, and 3 items. This is not a quite good idea, because what if this 1.5 days is not sufficient to integration testing completion for all the 12 items? They are not able to create an integrated increment. So what is a better approach? Instead of keeping 1.5 days as a lump sum amount towards the end. They can keep continuously integration, like every 1.5 days, 2 days, they can keep some integration touch point for a couple of hours wherever there is a dependency. For example, team 1 has a dependency with team through one item. So when both are done, they can, the respective team members of team 1 and team 2, they can get onto a meeting room, complete the integration and go back. Similarly, team 2 has got something with team 3. Similarly, team 1 has got some with team 3, or team 1, team 2, team 3 have got something dependency like that throughout the sprint. Using a continuous integration at regular intervals is a good idea, so that it will have more probability of creating an integrated increment by the end of the sprint. So that is a better thing. Now coming to the sprint cancellation. For example, let's say all these teams are working on, let's say, 2-week sprint. 2 weeks sprint 1, 2 weeks sprint 2, 2 weeks sprint 3, 2 weeks sprint 4, 2 weeks sprint 5, like that. Let's imagine a case, sprint 1 everybody completed successfully. Sprint 2 also everybody successfully completed. Sprint 3, team 1 and team 2 successfully completed, but team 3 had to cancel their sprint. In that case, the cadence and synchronization will be missing, because immediately they start a new sprint. So their next sprint cadence will be like this. So because of that, the other two teams, team 1, team 2 are in one synchronization cadence and team 3 is one. So in this situation, what happens is the team 3 next sprint can be either shorter sprint or longer sprint. For example, if they canceled their third sprint on day 3, for example, their next sprint can be for 7 days. So that next to next sprint, everybody will be in same synchronization and cadence. And if they cancel the sprint on day 7, then they can, their next sprint can be longer, like 13 days. So that next sprint, next to next sprint, they will be all in the same synchronization. So all these things, whatever we discussed, are not prescribed by Scrum, because Scrum is a framework. A framework is something intentionally incomplete. So what are the practices, whatever practices, processes, tools, techniques can be fit into that framework, you can utilize. So Scrum is all about inspect and adapt. In order to become better, I strongly recommend to have periodic inspection and adaptation by using these Scrum events effectively, so that the Scrum team can become improved over a period of time. So this is all about Scrum team overall. In the upcoming videos, we are going to deep dive to discuss about the product owner role alone, and the Scrum Master and the developers. I hope you have liked this video, and if you have liked the video, please subscribe and please like and share. And in case you're looking for any public or private Agile and Scrum and SAFe related trainings, please feel free to contact us. We'll be happy to help. Thank you so much, and have a great time.